Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FreshBooks. Go to freshbooks.com/Arel. In the How Did You Hear About Us section, put The Art of Likeability. You'll get 30 free days of their awesome invoicing, expense tracking, and get paid faster software.
Welcome to The Art of Likeability, ranked one of the top podcasts in the world. In this podcast, you'll discover how to leverage likability to build stronger relationships, lead more efficiently, close more sales, and keep customers happy while increasing success in your professional and personal life. Let's jump in with your host, Arel Moodie.
What's going on, Art of Likeability family? Arel Moodie here, your host of the Art of Likeability podcast, where we teach you unbelievable skills you didn't even know that you needed. That turns out to make your life so much better, your relationships so much deeper, your connections to people so much richer, that if you could turn what we're teaching you into a currency, it would be worth platinum-covered $100 bills the size of the Empire State Building, filled with mattresses filled with money, covered in platinum, in a platinum-covered Empire State Building. That's the kind of stuff, that sounds pretty exciting to me. I mean, nice, huh? You're welcome, is what I want to say to you. Today, we have a really great episode that is really going to be fascinating for many of you. I've been doing a lot of research lately and a lot of studying, and I came across some ideas that I really thought really were profound. And I want to share one of the ideas with you so that you can implement this. And it's about the word anger. Angry. So anger is a very interesting emotion, very fascinating emotion, because we all experience it. If people say they don't get angry, they have an issue with lying. Everyone deals with anger in some shape, form, or fashion. So what I want you to ask yourself is, how do you deal with anger? What is it that you do? Do you yell? Do you scream? Or maybe you're one of those passive-aggressive angry people. You know, those people who go, well, I don't get angry. But what you do is you stonewall people. You become quiet. You huff and puff, or you become like snipey with your whatever it is. I don't know, right? We all have our different ways. So the first thing I want you to get a sense of is, how do you express anger? When you are frustrated at a coworker, a loved one, what is it that you do that is how you show anger? Okay? So I want you to get that sense, okay? That's going to be very, very important, because from there, we can then move into the next part of it. So we get the sense of what are we doing? What is it that, anger is for us? Now, do you think that anger is an emotion? Nope, it's not. Oh, your mind about to get blown. You're welcome, son. You listening to the Art of Likeability podcast. You didn't even know I was about to reframe how you're thinking about things. Now, most people think anger is an emotion. It's not really an emotion. It's not. Anger is more of an expression of a deeper emotion. Okay? I want you to catch this. Anger is really more of an expression of a deeper emotion. So usually there's a feeling that we have, and that bubbles up into anger. So we think, I'm just angry. Well, what I want you to start doing is really getting to the root of where that anger comes from, okay? So there's a great acronym called GIFT, G-I-F-T, okay? That these 4 categories are typically the emotion we feel when anger becomes expressed, okay? And I want you to see what happens for you. So the next time you get angry, the next time you find yourself getting mean, mad, whatever it is, like getting just flipped out, I want you to ask yourself, which one of these is the gift, the G-I-F-T, okay? So the first one is guilt. Guilt. So for example, imagine you get caught stealing something. And someone goes, did you steal it? And you'd be like, I ain't steal it. What you talk about me? Like, because you feel guilty that you get caught. Or you'd be like, well, I stole it because you never paid me back my money. So you get angry, but it's really like this sense of guilt, okay? maybe, so that's G. So I want you to think of guilt. The next time you express anger, or more probably not the next time, but I want you to think about when you've expressed anger, okay? Has guilt played a role? So that's a G. I, inferiority. When someone makes you feel small, when someone makes you, feel like you're insignificant, when someone makes you feel like you're not smart, or if someone makes you feel like you are not good enough, they're making you feel inferior. So it's very easy when someone gets to feel inferior that they'll become angry. So if you try to make me sound stupid or sound dumb, my response to you is anger. And I think the anger is the issue, but it's really the fact that I feel inferior. I remember in my business, I had a lot of inferiority when I first got started. I didn't know how to run a business properly. And I remember this one time I was dealing with a client and we, they had said they sent us something. I didn't think they sent it. There was like a miscommunication. And I got really angry. And I was like, this person's such a jerk. They're one of those mean clients. And the truth is, if I just would have had better systems, if I would have, for example, FreshBooks, which I'm a huge advocate of, again, for those of you who don't know, if you go to freshbooks.com/Arel, you can get 30 free days of the invoicing and expense tracking software. So you can keep track of everything that you're doing. And when you go to our website, make sure to put in the How Did You Hear About It section, The Art of Likability, the podcast, just to let them know that if you do give it a try, that we're the ones who sent you, okay? But in the beginning, like when I didn't have my systems in place, I would blame the client. Like, oh, they're a bad client, right? They are a jerk. They're the ones who aren't like understanding or whatever. And I would blame them because I was really feeling inferior as an entrepreneur. That shows up in my personal relationships. Like if someone makes me feel stupid, I know personally inferiority is something I really dislike. So I will get angry or I'll just say, you know what? I don't need to take this from you. I'm out and I'll just bounce, right? So inferiority. So far we got guilt. Someone catches you doing something, you feel guilty, you get angry. Inferiority, someone makes you feel less than, so you get angry. F is fear, right? Fear. So if you're afraid of something, you can get angry too. Maybe, someone's gonna attack you. So you're fearful. So that's like a good sense of anger. I think anger is actually pretty good. Like if someone's gonna attack you, you attack them, that fear turns into anger and you get strength, fight or flight kind of deal. So anything that you might fear, if you fear you're gonna get, evicted, maybe you get a note, you got 20, 30 days to move and you're like, where am I gonna go? So that fear of not knowing what you're gonna do will then become expressed as anger, or if you lose your job, that fear of well, what am I gonna do now to support myself and my family, that fear turns into anger. Okay, can you see how that fear can be exemplified? So we have the G, the I, the F, right? So the G is guilt, I is inferiority, F is fear, and T is trauma, being hurt. Someone, physically hurting you, emotionally hurting you, some type of pain will then turn into anger. Now, how do you use this? Once you get a sense of this information, you can really use this in your well-being. Because the next time you experience anger, you can then ask yourself, where is it in the gift? Where's the gift here? The G, the I, the F, T. Am I angry because I'm feeling guilty, inferior, fear, trauma? And the reason why this is powerful is because if you know where the anger is coming from, you can then address it. You can do something about it. Because a lot of times when folks are angry, you say, well, what are you so angry about? And you go, I don't know, I'm just angry. I don't know, I'm just angry. What do you want? I'm just angry, right? You're you're just angry. And with this, you can really get to it oh, I'm really feeling guilty. Well, what am I feeling guilty about? I'm feeling guilty about this. I feel like I, probably could have done this differently. So now you can start addressing what the issue is so you can really make a game plan and you can get a little more rational in your thinking. If you're feeling inferior, you can then say, oh, this person's trying to make me feel stupid or dumb or I feel dumb or whatever. And then you can say, well, is this true? Am I really inferior? Fear, okay, this is what I'm afraid of. Well, what do I do with this fear? Is it a real fear or is it an imagined fear? Dog trying to attack you, that's a real fear. Me being afraid I'm not gonna be able to support my family, is it a real fear? It may be a feeling, but is it real? Is it can I feed them right now? You say yes. Well, what about 3 weeks from now? Well, you got 3 weeks to figure it out. You got to get going. So it doesn't necessarily make it go away, but it allows you to attack it and address it differently. And then T is trauma. Are you really dealing with, being hurt and you need to be heard or understood or listened to? Like, that's the real issue at hand. So what this does and what this episode is going to allow for you to do is it's going to allow you to get a better sense of where your anger is originating from. And I'll give you a bonus, which is really cool. There's a phrase that actually magnifies anger. It's a word that when you use it in usually a typical state, and definitely when you're in like an anger state, it's going to magnify it. So like if you're like a level 3 angry, if you use this one word, it makes you level like 12 angry. So I want you to be careful and aware the next time you use this word. And I would encourage you to actually share this podcast with like a loved one, like your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, right? Someone that you interact with that you may have angry experiences with. So for example, if you're married, you for sure get into fights with your husband or wife, right? Like if you're dating, you for sure get into fights. And if you don't, you need to make a podcast on relationships because you're doing something right, okay? So get that podcast out if you don't. But if you're normal and breathe air and drink water and eat food, you get into fights with these people. So I would encourage you to share this episode with them. Encourage them to subscribe. We have a lot of great backlog content as well. But you can get a sense from them, okay, what is the cause of the anger? And then this phrase. So, because if you use it, they can call you out on it. If they use it, you can call them out on it. And that phrase is the word should. Should. When you say, you should do this, or you shouldn't have done that, whenever you start saying the word should over and over and over, it magnifies how angry you get. It actually, like, if you can imagine yourself, like, getting mad, like, maybe somebody, your boss yelled at me, he shouldn't talk to me like that. He should respect me. He should, like that kind of should. It magnifies it. Boom, 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 boom. So I want you to notice that when you're speaking, your language is very powerful. The word should will magnify how angry you are and actually make you feel worse. So ultimately, you don't really want to, like, stay in this angry state and just stay upset and mad and all that craziness. You want to get to a place where you can make level-headed decisions and move in the best way possible. And the best way to do that is to, one, understand what's underneath your anger. That anger is not really an emotion as much as it's an expression of a deeper emotion. It typically is expressed in guilt, inferiority, fear, trauma. And you escalate your anger when you use the word should. Right? So you want to replace it with like a different word, like, I wish it wouldn't, I wish this person wouldn't do it. It doesn't have the same like emotional escalation as the word should does. So you want to replace it with like I wish as an example. So this is a really powerful episode. I hope that you use it. If you're someone who struggles with anger, or you get angry a lot, or you get very passive aggressive, or whatever it is, it's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. This is going to help you have a better like vision into yourself so that you can be better for the people around you. And when you're better for the people around you and you're not so angry, you can have deeper, more meaningful relationships. And if you don't want more of that, I don't know why you listen to this podcast. That's what we do, baby. But let's be clear. Do not confuse what I'm telling you, okay? The information I just shared with you, it doesn't mean anything. Like, nada. Zero. The implementation of this information will 100% improve and increase your life. So make sure you implement this stuff. You start catching yourself saying the word should. You start being more aware of what you're saying from a source of anger. And you're going to be in a really powerful state, okay? So let me know. Did you like this? Was this helpful? Do you like when I go into this more deep emotional, kind of podcast episodes? Or, do you like more tactile stuff? Maybe you like more interviews. I want to hear from you, baby. I want to know what you feeling and what you're thinking about. So go on to iTunes and leave a review. 5 stars is where it's at. Shoot us an email, info@artoflikeability, or go to artoflikeability.com, sign up for our newsletter, sign up for our free, report on how to instantly increase your likability. If you got a job interview coming up, don't leave it to chance, people. Seriously, go to dreamjob.artoflikeability.com. That's dreamjob.artoflikeability.com, and definitely download our free report on how to ace your next job interview. We love helping people stay employed, because when you got the dollar bills, you can worry about other things. So we really care about that. And do me a favor, if you listen to this podcast and you've not subscribed yet, because maybe it was shared to you with a friend, I want you to look at your phone. I want you to look at it. Look at your phone, unless you're driving. I don't want you to get in an accident. There's a little subscribe button. Press it. Take your thumb, your right thumb, not your left one, your right one. And press it, okay? Your pinky will cradle the bottom of your phone. You're going to just caress that subscribe button so you can get this hot, fresh content sent to you on a daily basis, okay? So I'm out of here, y'all. I hope that you have a wonderful week that is less angry than it normally might be, all right? Sending you a big old high five, y'all. You are awesome. Psh.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, The Art of Likeability, and reach out with any questions you have. Until next time, remember, my friend, you are awesome.